Hey everybody, we're back. It's FL Teams Live, and we are here to give you our season preview for the 2023 National Football League season. If you've watched FL Teams before, you probably know us all. Either way, make sure you've hit that subscribe button below. Uh, with you, as really always, is Jeff Macolino, myself, Jeremiah Hensley, over on the other end. I don't know how mirrors work. And of course, in the middle, the great Isaac Edelman, president, CEO, and king of FL Teams. Isaac, before we dive into this season preview, just give everyone a little heads up on what to expect from football coverage from FL Teams this season.
Yeah, no, we really want you guys to stay with us, right? And watch us grow as a website because we have some really good content coming towards you guys. Obviously, this is the time of the year where we feast. Football is back, not just the NFL, which we'll be talking about today, but college football. So, look, stay with us. Follow our channels at FL Teams on social media. Follow our website, flteams.com. We'll get you the latest and best sports news in the state of Florida. Again, we have a lot of content coming to you guys. This week, Jeff recorded a USF season preview. I recorded an FAU season preview. We are ready to give you guys the best content because we cover every single team in the state of Florida. So stay with us. Every Wednesday night, we'll have FL Teams Live. And throughout the week, Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, Fridays, we'll have some unique shows, different content depending on what news there is in the state of Florida.
Awesome stuff, Isaac. Well, let's get things started. And the only gentleman who hasn't gotten to speak yet, you will be able, Jeremiah, to kick us off in our AFC predictions. So first, we're going to talk about what four division winners, what are your three wild cards you've got in the AFC? And Jeremiah, you get to go first.
So we'll get the easy one out of the way. I'm already dressed for it. You can call me a homer. I can't often feel that way about my Miami Dolphins, but the Dolphins win the East. In the AFC North, I think Cincinnati wins that again. They're just a more balanced, better team than Baltimore. AFC South is not even close. I think our hometown Florida team, Jacksonville Jaguars, really run away with that division. The AFC West, I again don't think it's going to be close. I think Kansas City wins that division again. So there's your four. When we get into the wild cards, it gets a little different for me. I think Baltimore it slides in as a wild card. The AFC East is stacked. I'm choosing Miami in a big way to win that division. I was really torn between the Jets and the Bills getting in and or the Chargers. And even that's leaving out Cleveland because if Deshaun Watson shows up, who knows, right? Ultimately, I think the New York Jets with Aaron Rodgers and the Los Angeles Chargers. I believe the Bills have found their window and they've been surpassed. The teams around them have gotten better while they've stayed stagnant. And I think the Buffalo Bills fade back to mediocrity. That's where I'm at on the AFC. It's a hard one for me, but I really think, there's still some good teams that could get in there and cause some noise. Who knows what's going to happen, with in Denver, right?
Yep.
Adding a real coach, right, to Russell Wilson. What happens with the receivers? They've had some injury issues in the preseason. It's going to be tough across the board, but that's where I'm going.
Nice. Very succinct, Jeremiah. Isaac, well, Jeremiah, I'm going to throw you one question because you still got a minute. I'm making the assumption here that your belief of Miami winning the East means you think Tua is going to stay healthy all year.
No. I think the belief comes from the fact that I think we're better prepared than we were last year to still win games. Vic Fangio has upgraded that defense, so we're not the sieve that we were last year. And I believe that there will be a renewed true sense of running the ball. And Skylar Thompson looked like he progressed in the preseason. And Mike White is way better than Teddy Bridgewater. And I'm looking at you, Isaac, as I say that. If you can't see this through the screen, we have a much better backup situation than we did last year. There's so many weapons on the Dolphins offense that Mike White could win 1 or 2 games with the Jets with half this talent. Skylar Thompson is upgraded. I think if Tua is out for 3-4 games, that doesn't end the Dolphins season.
Nice. Isaac, what do you got in the AFC?
Yeah, look, I agree with Jeremiah here about the AFC being really stacked this year. And look, a lot of players moved around this offseason, and most of those key players actually came to the AFC. So I'm going to start off with the AFC South here. We'll knock out that Florida team. I also have the Jacksonville Jaguars making the playoffs. They made the playoffs last year, and they're going to be even better this year because they have Calvin Ridley. And Trevor Lawrence, I don't think, is going to stay the same. He's definitely going to keep improving for the next few years, not just this year. Let's go to the AFC West. You have to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. We know that they still are talented without Tyreek Hill. Isaiah Pacheco is really good. Travis Kelce, I don't even need to mention him. He's still Travis Kelce. And Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. Every single year that Patrick Mahomes has been the starter, the Chiefs have won the AFC West. They've won for 7 straight seasons. Last but not least, the AFC East. I have to go with my Miami Dolphins. I have the Dolphins winning the division. Look, the Dolphins are really talented. I'm still a little iffy about that quarterback situation with Tua. But the good thing is Tua has the weapons this year. He had the weapons last year, but he got even better. There's finally some stability to start the season at running back. I know Jeff Wilson just got on the IR, but Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, you still have Hill, you still have Waddle, and the Dolphins' defense is so much better, even with Jalen Ramsey injured to start the season. So with that said, the AFC wild card. This is also
you didn't say the North yet.
Oh, the North.
Oh, we are forgetting the North. The Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay.
I have the Cincinnati Bengals winning the division. Joe Burrow, look, he's coming off a massive season. The AFC North is very tough, but I believe Cincinnati's the best. Jamar Chase, incredible, and T. Higgins, one of the best wide receiver twos. So now we can go to the wild card. I have both the Bills and Jets making the playoffs.
I was close.
I have to go with it, and I think the reason I had the Bills making the wild card, but the reason that set me over the edge was Dalvin Cook going to the Jets. I was like, yeah, that's the move that I think is going to send the Jets into the playoffs. And obviously, we know they have Aaron Rodgers, and well, the Jets. Let me tell you, they won't back down. If they can have a better record than the Bills, though, I'll be surprised. So even though I have both of those teams making the wild card, I don't think the Jets will have a better record than the Bills. But obviously, it's going to be close. And then for the final wild card spot, I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Chargers. I don't have the Ravens making the playoffs. I have Justin Herbert. He's incredible. But the key thing with this Chargers team, guys, the Chargers have stayed the same the past few seasons, and that consistency has been good because they've made the playoffs. Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams. Those guys have been consistently good. Even Joshua Palmer and Gerald Everett, they've just been consistently producing for this team. And I like the fact that the Chargers don't really change their roster that much. I mean, I know they have Khalil Mack, but they still have Joey Bosa and Derwin James Jr. I think the Chargers, and I know a lot of people are disagreeing, so that's why I spoke about them the most. The Chargers, I think, are going to make that final wild card spot in the AFC.
All right. Well, I'll bring some sanity to the room here. The winner of the AFC East is going to be the Buffalo Bills, for crying out loud. Again, I don't think their window's closed. I think they love that nobody's really talking about them. And nobody outside of you two are even talking about the Dolphins. Let's face it. A lot of Jets talk for good reason. I'll get to them in a second. We're unanimous in the other 3 divisions, though. Cincinnati, don't need to talk about them. Jacksonville, we'll talk about them more in a second, so I'll hold off on using my time there. And the Chiefs, again, no need to even speak on the Chiefs. So we're unanimous. Cincinnati, Jacksonville, Kansas City, all repeat winners from last year. I, of course, am also going boring and picking Buffalo to continue to win the East. My 3 wild cards, and I've got them in order, frankly. The New York Jets, are my top wild card team. I think Aaron Rodgers had his thumb issue last year. I think people are overlooking that. The New York Jets are my top wild card team. I think they're going to be good. The Los Angeles Chargers, Isaac, you kind of made my. They're a team who you just look. You're like, there's no way they don't win 10 games. There's no way. It seems impossible to me that the Chargers don't win 10 games, barring some catastrophic stuff happening. My 7th spot was the toughest one. I debate between Miami Dolphins with their glass-headed quarterback, the Baltimore Ravens with their glass bottom-half quarterback, and frankly, the Denver Broncos. And one thing that popped into my head is the Broncos are not good enough of a team, even with Sean Payton and how much I love the guy. They're not good enough of a team to be in the discussion with the other two. I'm going with Baltimore. I'm saying if Lamar Jackson stays healthy, Baltimore's in the playoffs each of the past 2 seasons. I think we're kind of overlooking his injuries and saying, well, the Dolphins, they would have been better if Tua didn't get hurt. Well, look at the Ravens. The Dolphins, I don't even know if would have been in the playoffs if Lamar Jackson didn't go down late last year. I'm glad none of us put Cleveland in because nobody should be rooting for that team. No nice way to, we know why. So yeah, we don't differ much. I think I just am dropping out the Dolphins. Otherwise, I think we're all like in agreement with 6 teams.
Yeah.
So can we throw out a little bit, because we got a little time in this, to say who's the one team who can spoil your predictions? Who's the one team in the AFC that we all feel could slide in there and just turn this upside down?
Outside of the teams mentioned, I'd say New England.
Wow. Okay. I would say Cleveland.
Sure.
I would go with Cleveland. If Deshaun Watson plays to half the ability of what he used to be with Nick Chubb, Amari Cooper, you've got Myles Garrett on defense, like Cleveland could scary be good. Isaac?
I'm so confident in my.
He's got the 7 right.
Give me that one team.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm really confident. I'm not going to give you that one team because I'm not high on the Ravens. I'm not high on the Broncos. I'm just going to stay put. Something's telling me Anthony Richardson here, the Raiders. No, I'm being confident.
No,
I think you're right.
You're right. Just hold.
All right, let's talk a little bit. And obviously, Jeremiah is going to be giving us Dolphins coverage throughout the season. But let's talk a little bit about the Miami Dolphins. We'll just highlight these 2 Florida teams here for a second. Obviously, we have very differing opinions. You two both think they're going to win the East. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I guess you guys can try to tell me why I'm wrong. But I'll give you this. I guess I'll kick it off with this, since you guys have the same opinion and are both Dolphins fans. I don't see where the Dolphins actually improved, to be quite frank, besides maybe backup quarterback, maybe. Jalen Ramsey's going to, is Eli Apple that big upgrade y'all were rooting for? Raheem Mostert, well, you had him last year, and Jeff Wilson starting the year on IR. I'm like, tell me where they get better other than hoping Tua doesn't have severe brain injuries all year. I just don't see where the Dolphins actually – and I get Fangio. That's probably the best argument, but I don't see personnel-wise on the field where they actually are a better team than what they were last year, which was a team that barely made it to the playoffs. And, So,
Jeff, I'll give you this. Barely made the playoffs, and with a backup quarterback, gave Buffalo everything they could handle in Buffalo in the first round because of the talent that the team had. You mentioned it at the end. Where we upgraded is Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio on the defensive side of the ball has turned this team into a team that is not going to allow Justin Fields and Cole Kmet to almost beat them anymore. He has created a defense. And another player really unsung with the signing that went under the radar, David Long, coming over from Tennessee into the linebacking core. This guy's a monster. He's an animal. He can actually cover a tight end. And the perfect fit for Fangio, right? What I loved about bringing in Jalen Ramsey, who, by the way, is a freak of nature. This guy is recovering quicker than anybody I've ever seen. I mean, he kicked off the crutches. I would not be surprised if by week 3 or 4, we're seeing him back again. Week 4, I would not be surprised. But Fangio plays more of a zone-based coverage. Xavier Howard's getting old. Okay. He can't man up the way he used to man up. So now we're moving into a position where we can do that. Where do we get better? Jalen Phillips gets another year. Jalen Phillips was unbelievable last year, growing into this position at the end. You get another year with Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb reconnecting with Vic Fangio. The defense is what got better. On offense, I don't know that we got better. Maybe Devon Achane, right? We have a guy now who can come out of the backfield, who is explosive, who can catch the ball. He's a poor man's Dalvin Cook, if you will. And I think the Dolphins, another year in the offense underneath Mike McDaniel, we got better.
Isaac, he's leaving you 5 seconds. So
sorry, I didn't even notice. My bad. Isaac, go.
Where are all those straws that he missed? He's grasping for him.
I'll tell you what he missed. No, I wanted to speak first because I was happy you didn't mention Mike Gesicki. Some people have mentioned him. Yeah, why have the Dolphins improved? They've lost Mike Gesicki. Mike Gesicki is really not an impactful player. Obviously not in the blocking scheme of things, but
he will be with New England.
Yeah, because Mac Jones relies on tight ends, but the Dolphins do not. And here's the thing. I agree with what you're saying with the running back core. I agree with what you're saying with the defense. But the key thing is play calling. I completely agree with Vic Fangio. I also agree with the fact that Tua hopefully is not going to get injured. And if he does, which I actually expect, I don't want to say that, but you just have to say it. The Dolphins, I think, are putting more of an effort this offseason into playing with the backup quarterback, expecting it to happen. No team in the NFL should expect a backup quarterback to play, yet every NFL team practices with their backup quarterback at the helm. But I think the Dolphins are going to do something that no other team does, and Tua is going to understand. Tua is going to do what's best for the team. And let me tell you, the Dolphins did not get worse. I won't be surprised if they honestly stay the same because I think it all depends on the quarterback, Tua. But to be honest, the Dolphins improved. Your defense is really good. Wait till Jeff Wilson gets on the field. Wait till Jalen Ramsey gets on the field. I don't expect Hill to digress. I think Jalen Waddle will play. I don't think he'll get much better, honestly. I think he's at his peak. But he'll be very productive. And most importantly, Tua, I don't know. I don't have my expectations for Tua written in stone yet.
Isaac's not a Tua fan. Never been.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. We've got it on record. This could be clipped later. I can look like an idiot, and look, I've got a Dolphins helmet right here. Like I'm not a hater.
I hear you.
I'm just saying. All right, quickly shave some time off this one because I think we all feel the same way about the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think Isaac said it. They're an ascending team. I had this much of a thought to put them as my Super Bowl team. We'll get to that later, but I think they were close to knocking off Kansas City last year, and they're only getting better. Not only talent on the field, but they're young, so they're getting better just by experience. Yeah. And they've got probably the two worst teams in the NFL in their division, which doesn't hurt. To get kind of 4 bye weeks against the Texans and Colts.
And let me tell you, it's not all about Calvin Ridley. It's about Evan Ingram. He really proved a lot of doubters wrong last year. He is some tight end. I mean, we knew he went to a Pro Bowl with the Giants, but the reason he's no longer on the Giants was because he wasn't that good. He really was built up. I think that was a Doug Peterson move. I really don't think he just got better. I think the Jaguars work well with him. And Trevor Lawrence is just going to get better with Calvin Ridley. I mean, you lost Marvin Jones. You obviously don't have DJ Chark. But keep in mind, this Jaguars team has arguably a top 10 receiver in Calvin Ridley. He is a year out of football, but Calvin Ridley at times plays like a top 10 wide receiver.
And Jeremiah, before you go, I think we can all say apologies to Christian Kirk for last offseason.
1,000%. 1,000%. So that's what I was going to say is, pardon the pun, but they gambled on Calvin Ridley, and it's going to pay off. This guy has looked like a stud. And now you take Christian Kirk, who carried the wide receiver core, and he becomes number 2. And then the name everybody needs to remember around Jacksonville, Tank Bigsley. Tank Bigsley ran behind an awful offensive line in Auburn last year. He's a big back. He's backing up Etienne. You've got a crusher behind him now. And if Travis Etienne goes down, Tank Bigsley is going to play big. And the defense is getting better. Good stuff in Jacksonville.
And you still have Zay Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah, I like him a lot too. All right, let's move on to the NFC. And I'll go first in this one. My division winners. This is going to be so boring. I'm not going to lie. I'm embarrassed. I scratched off a team at the last minute to make it interesting. But here we go. I got the Eagles repeating in the East. I guess this is my most interesting division pick. I got the Lions in the North. I mean, they finished really strong. I got the Saints in the South. They've got the only quarterback, and they've got a great defense. If they can stay moderately healthy, man, like they were top 5 last year with Marshawn Lattimore out for more than half the season. I got the 49ers in the West. I feel like this is really boring.
Boring because it's true.
Yeah, and then I got Dallas, who, by the way, I don't think they're at all a Super Bowl contender, but I think if you said pick one team in the NFC that's going to make the playoffs no matter what, I'd say probably Dallas. Mm-hmm. Because I could say Philly, they had a lot of guys with career years, and Jalen Hurts, who knows if he repeats or if he, God forbid, gets injured. If Hurts gets injured, I could see the Eagles missing the playoffs. If, the Saints continue to have every player on their roster fall, I could see another team winning 8 or 9 games in that division and getting in the playoffs. But Dallas, it's like, no matter who gets hurt, they're all just blah. They're like slightly above mid. Like, that's just Dallas. they're my last team on this list I would ever pick to win the Super Bowl. But I feel like I'm very confident they'll get to the playoffs, and hopefully I'm wrong because I don't care for them that much. My last 2, I got the New York Giants coming back, and I scratched off the Minnesota Vikings. I was close to going back to Los Angeles Rams. I decided to change things up. I'm putting the Green Bay Packers as the last team in the NFC because I like that defense. I think Jordan Love can be okay, but that defense, I think people are sleeping on Green Bay's defense. So I got Philly, Detroit, New Orleans, San Francisco, Dallas, New York Giants, and Green Bay as my 7 in the NFC. Jeremiah, I'll turn the floor over to you.
It becomes kind of easy. There's some really bad divisions and good luck teams in the NFC. So Philadelphia winning the East. I'm with you with the Lions winning the North. I think they're just better coached and they got better. I think people are sleeping on David Montgomery going to the Lions. I think that is a huge, huge get. New Orleans, I think, wins a really bad NFC South, and it helps to play them. San Francisco again in the West. So if we go back through, I got the Eagles. I think the Cowboys absolutely do get in. Outside of that, I think Seattle, which, I feel like every year everybody predicts the demise of Seattle, and all they do is win. I mean, they didn't get any worse. Geno Smith had a great year. They added Zach Carbonet to go behind Kenneth Walker III. And for the last wild card spot, I'm going to spin the dice on this one. I'm going to say the Chicago Bears.
Ooh.
The Chicago Bears. Justin Fields takes a big step forward. Khalil Herbert finally gets the carries that he's not obstructed on the other end of. Cole Kmet has a big year, and that's a solid defense. I think the Chicago Bears slide in at the last spot.
All right, not same 4 division winners. So
yeah,
we're not really far off. I don't feel very great about my wild card picks. Isaac, what do you got? You gonna throw some curveballs at us here?
Yes. Did you guys have the Eagles winning the NFC East?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
Not so fast, my friend.
The Eagles have been the best team in the division, but I'm going with the stats. I'm going with history. It's been 18 straight seasons since a team has repeated as NFC East champs.
Okay.
It's not going to happen. I'm coming out with the stats to support
It's
it.
true. All right.
I think the Cowboys will win the division. On paper, Eagles absolutely have a better roster, but I'm going with history, and I don't like Philly, so I don't feel sorry.
I'm with you there.
Solid explanation. Solid explanation.
The NFC South, you have to go with the Saints. They have the best quarterback in the division, Derek Carr. Michael Thomas should be finally healthy. Nothing to explain there. The NFC North, the Detroit Lions. I feel like out of all the teams we talk about here on FL Teams, we always have positivity to say about them. And it's not because we're biased, because we don't like them, we don't dislike them. It's because they've earned it. I really like what the Lions are doing. And again, Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, is going to have a big year. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's a heck of a receiver. And when Jameson Williams comes off a suspension, he'll be really good. And then Marvin Jones as a wide receiver 3. That's solid. And obviously Aiden Hutchinson, Penei Sewell, young team with a lot of talent. Here's where it gets tricky. The NFC West, I just don't want to go with the 49ers because of their quarterback situation. But when you have Kittle, McCaffrey, and Deebo Samuel, you just can't do it. So I'll go with the 49ers. And that touches on the 4 divisions. The wild card, I have the Eagles making the playoffs. If I didn't have the Eagles as a wild card, then you guys can start yelling at me.
Yeah,
I have the New York Giants sneaking in. That's something Giant fans want to hear. We know if they don't make the playoffs, they go crazy. Daniel Jones is still at the helm. If I would have predicted a few years ago if he would be the quarterback in the year 2023, I would have actually said no. I thought they would have moved on from him, but he had a good year last year. He got the contract, and he's here. Obviously, Saquon Barkley still here. Darren Waller was a big pickup. I think the Giants will sneak in. So the Giants, Eagles, and then my third wild card team, it's tough, but I'm going to go with the Vikings. I know you left them out, Jeff. Look, Kirk Cousins, still Kirk Cousins. Nothing good, nothing bad. But you still have Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson, top 10 wide receiver. And the loss of Dalvin Cook's big, but I think the Vikings sneak into the playoffs. I won't be surprised if Geno Smith has another good year for the Seahawks and they sneak in. The Packers, though, I'm not bought in on. Sure, you could predict that Jordan Love's going to do good, but I have no reason to say that. So that's my NFC predictions.
Well, just real quick, what I love about the reason I didn't pick the Vikings is the same reason that Isaac chose them. He goes, Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins. That's why Minnesota's not making the playoffs.
And Isaac, we would have had the same 7 teams if I did not make a last minute change from Minnesota to Green Bay. So, and 3 of the 4 divisions were unanimous between us: Detroit in the north, New Orleans in the south, and San Francisco in the west. Quickly, let's talk about the Florida team in the NFC. I don't think anyone really is a Bucs fan anymore because Tom Brady's gone. They all the Bucs fans scattered like the cockroaches that they were. I'm kidding.
Nah, no.
Kidding. The Bucs, kidding. Baker Mayfield announced as their starter, and they've got some talent still on this team, although the center Jensen is out for the season, I heard. Wirfs is moving over to left tackle. There's a little bit of maybe concern there. But they got Evans and Godwin still. They've still got a lot of their pieces on defense, their linebackers, White and David. And it is a weak division.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think one of the teams is weak, personally. May just be me. I think one of the teams is a strong team. But the Panthers and the Falcons, the interesting thing with both of those teams, I would not be shocked if they were drafting number 1 in next year's draft. I don't know if the Panthers gave up next year's one, but you know what I mean. It might be the worst team in the NFL. Right. I would not be shocked if one of those teams was able to win 8 or 9 games, though. So I don't know that they're going to be pushovers for the Bucs. So I don't know that even in a bad division that the Bucs really they might be the bad team in the bad division.
Yeah, maybe. Here's the thing. I said something about Daniel Jones and expecting him to start for the Giants in the year 2023. if you asked me if Kyle Trask would have had a start in 2023, by 2023, I would have said yes. Kyle Trask, I don't know why he's still on the Bucks. Like, obviously, it's not fully his decision, but come on. I mean, the good thing is he doesn't have a strong quarterback ahead of him on the depth chart, right? Baker Mayfield will either get injured or he'll just suck after a few games, and the Bucks will have enough and start worrying about their future. But here's the thing. Godwin and Evans still on the Bucks. Give them a ton of credit. They're amazing wide receivers. You can't say anything, but they always get injured. Again, the Bucks do not have a serviceable tight end. I know when they had Gronk, he scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl, but the Bucks defense is starting to get old. The Bucks still haven't focused on their future. And when they drafted Trask early on in the draft a few years ago, I thought they were starting to focus on their future, but obviously not. So there's really not much to talk about with the Bucks. Simply, Kyle Trask needs to move out. I mean, that's the only thing I could say with this team.
Well, you know, it's funny. We did our QB like tier list last year, and I was the dude who was all on some Baker Mayfield. I don't know what it is about the guy. I like him. I thought he'd be great in Carolina, and he wasn't. This is Baker's last hurrah, right? This is his last shot, and he's got the weapons behind him. You've got some good running backs. You've got a decent stable. You've got great wide receivers. You've got an offensive line in place, and I'm pulling for Baker. I mean, I still am. I think the Bucks defense is underrated. You mentioned a couple of the names there, Jeff. Those guys they make plays every year. If we have to go through looking that division, though, the Atlanta Falcons since 2017, 10-6, 7-9, 7-9, 4-12, 7-10, 7-10. They haven't been good, but they've been okay. Mm-hmm. You add Desmond Ridder, you add Bijan Robinson. The Falcons are a sneaky team that could make noise, right? They're one of those teams that could slide into the playoffs. You've still got Cordero Patterson. You've still got Tyler Algier. You've got Drake London. You've got Kyle Pitts. The Falcons have talent. I didn't mean to derail our Bucks talk on that, but I think the Bucks really are in a rebuild, right? That's where they're at.
Last thing I'll throw at you with the Bucks. What do you guys think? I'm looking at when do the Bucks make the move? Look, first 4 games of the season: Minnesota, Chicago, Philadelphia, and New Orleans, and it's at New Orleans.
Kyle Trask starts week 5.
I mean, I don't see a way they get through that better than 1-3.
No,
and that's if they beat Chicago. I think Chicago is the only winnable game on that. They're obviously Minnesota's winnable. New Orleans, depending on what happens, is winnable. But they're 1-3, 0-4. They make the move at that point, right?
Right, but here's the deal, which is really weird. I think so. Kyle Trask needs to be in there, but the rebuild needs to be all over. Kyle Trask is going to come in throwing to receivers who are on their last legs. I'm not saying Godwin's not good, but I mean, you're running an old offense with a new guy, so it's like a slow rebuild.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: the Bucks. I mean, outside of Evans and Godwin, it's like the Bucks are one of the few teams that do not have a solid running back one. A solid running back one. I don't mean a good. Obviously, there's some teams that don't have a good running back one.
Yeah.
Rashad White is not a good starting running back. Chase Edmonds is not a good backup running back. We know that as a Dolphins fan.
I loved him in Miami. I wanted him to break free, but no, Chase is trash.
This is the Bucks. I think we need to end this conversation because there's no hope with the Bucks.
No,
it's a weird vision though. I do like what Jeremiah said. It's a weird vision that you're keeping a lot of these old guys. Just get rid of them, build the whole thing from scratch, except for Todd Bowles then is on his ass, and he's never going to be a head coach again because he flamed out with the Jets and he took over a crappy job after Bruce Arians.
Well, this is the thing. At the trade deadline, you can consider trading Godwin and Evans. I mean, at some point,
but they win 4 games. Bowles is getting fired, and then they start to rebuild next year. That's the thing. I feel bad for Todd Bowles, frankly.
It's that weird situation that, again, it's like this team was built like they thought Brady was coming back. They thought Brady was giving them one more year, so they kept them all around. And no, he pulls the plug. Now you're just stuck with Baker. You are literally in limbo. You're
they
in limbo.
clearly didn't watch the trash product they put on the field last year. I mean, let's face
I'll
it.
agree.
Mark Ingram doesn't retire. The Saints win the division last year anyways. If Mark Ingram doesn't retire in the middle of a play against the Bucs and late in the season.
Mark Ingram now lives in beautiful Boca Raton, Florida, so he can't complain.
Yeah,
hey, Jeff, as we're
FLT.
moving through this and we're in your division,
All right.
one thing that didn't get mentioned real quick, your Saints did a heck of a job going out and getting Jamal Williams. He's going to get you through what Alvin Kamara is going to miss. Jamal Williams is an underrated back in this league, and I think that's going to be a sneaky pickup that's going to help the Saints win this division.
Yeah, he's a heart and soul kind of guy. All right,
Yep.
Super Bowl prediction. Who's winning the AFC? Who's winning the NFC? Who is winning the Super Bowl? Any volunteers to go first?
Look,
yes.
go, please.
Isaac, we'll start with you.
This is going to be bold, so I wanted to start it off.
Okay.
I have the Chargers making the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Look at Jeremiah's face.
Wow.
And
what are you drinking?
No, let me finish. Let me finish. If you're asking me, the NFC is very weak, so I don't want to give away who I think is going to win the Super Bowl. But I will say this. The 49ers are not going to make it as far. And I'm just going to make it a hot take. Give me the Chargers over the Lions in this year's Super Bowl.
All right.
I will love that Super Bowl if it happens, just so you know.
I would too. I would too.
That would be fantastic.
All right,
Jeff,
Jeremiah.
I know.
All right.
Let me just guess. I think you guys are going to have the 49ers, but I've never seen a team with – I know it almost happened with Brock Purdy. I've never seen a team with a quarterback situation like that make a Super Bowl in my young ages of living. It's probably happened.
Since it thrown over to me, Isaac, Jeff, and I think we've had this conversation almost many times on these shows. I just don't get the 49ers. I have no faith in them. They continue to win and they continue to be good, but I will never be a guy who puts my backing on the 49ers. I just can't. I don't. But I think the Philadelphia Eagles roll through the NFC. They got better. People will say they lost guys on defense. They replaced them with rookies from Georgia. They're going to be okay. And that offense is just going to be almost impossible to stop. So Philadelphia is going back. Oh, man. I think Cincinnati finally steps up. Joey Burrow leads this team. The one name we didn't talk about with Cincinnati or anything else is Mixon. They brought Mixon back, and he's one of the most consistent running backs in the league. Cincinnati's defense got better just because they let Eli Apple go to Miami. So there's the Super Bowl, Cincinnati, Philadelphia.
And who do you have winning? The Bengals?
I think the Bengals. I think Joey B finally closes one out.
All right. Well, I've got a bold one for you, folks.
Bolder than mine?
I don't know if that's possible. No.
I agree with you, Jeremiah. I got Cincinnati coming out of the AFC.
I can't be bolder than mine then, unless he picks like the Buccaneers.
Or
they're going to go up and they're going to face a quarterback who returns to his home for a long time, returns with the best defense he's ever played with, the best supporting cast he's ever played with, and they're going to come in angry because their hometown fans are going to be like, but we love Burrow and Jamar Chase. And yeah, here we go.
Oh, I knew you were going to do it.
The New Orleans Saints are going to defeat the Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl. Michael Thomas, Super Bowl MVP.
Dude, wait, that would be a great Super Bowl. It's Who Dey versus Who Dat.
Yeah.
Who Dey and Who Dat.
It's Who Dat versus the people who copied him. They don't talk like that in Ohio. Jesus.
I'm disappointed in Jeff, but Derek Carr deserves a Super Bowl. End of story.
Hey, best defense he's ever played with.
As much
There
as
it
I
is.
hate
Bold.
beating Jeff's ego,
Bold prediction.
the New Orleans Saints are going to be really good. Chris Olave is only getting better. Michael Thomas coming back. You add Jamal Williams along with Kamara, and you put a David Carr in there. That's a scary group, and that defense is good.
Who's paying you to boost Jeff's ego? Jeff
No.
with the
He didn't
Dolphins.
even talk
He
about
doesn't
Rashid
boost-
Shaheed,
he
Jawan
doesn't
Johnson,
boost your
Stephen
ego with the
Graham looking
Dolphins.
like a beast.
Isaac, I only speak truths. It hurts me, but I only speak truths.
Oh, if you
I
spoke
say
truth,
the
you would have
injury
gave
luck.
up on Tua a few years ago.
The injury luck,
Oh.
it's time for all that luck to come back the other way. There's,
I agree.
Here's my bold prediction. I boldly disagree with the Saints winning the Super Bowl.
hey, we got the clip here forever and ever.
Thought Isaac or I would be the homer and have Miami.
Oh, you two were the
we've got
homers. That's why I was laughing my ass off when you guys picked the Dolphins to win the division. I'm like, I'm not going to be the biggest homer. I think there's a better chance the Saints get to the Super Bowl than the Dolphins win the AFC East. Clip that, Isaac.
Oh, that's the clip right there, Isaac. There it is. That's at 40 minutes and 15 seconds. Go ahead.
All right. Any final words? I think I dropped the mic on my end. Jeremiah, Isaac, any final words before we head into the season?
I might say this before every NFL season, but I do think this is one of the more wide open years. I think there's a lot of ambiguity and a lot of teams who could be really good, and a lot that we think that are good could be really bad. Yeah. Except for Arizona, which we all know is trash, and we'll get the first pick.
And the Texans are pretty bad too.
In comparison to Arizona, they're studs.
Isaac, any final words?
No, not really. Just stay tuned because FL Teams is the place to be. I think I'm really excited for college football too. I know this is just NFL, but we have credentialed media members going to college football games. It's going to create for good content, interviews, tweets, you name it, we'll have it. And of course, like and subscribe on YouTube, like us on Facebook, drop a follow on Twitter, and stay engaged because we want to provide you guys with some top Florida sports content.
All right, everyone. We'll be back next Wednesday for FL Teams Live. We'll see you next week.